Hello everyone, my name is Archie, my pronouns are he, him, and I am your SU president for this year, and these are my semester successes. So alongside all the normal work I do, I also work on planning projects and pushing the university to deliver better on certain aspects. So one of the successes from last term was my Less Cook, which was to help students and help support students through the cost of living crisis by implementing an engaging activity for students to learn how to cook cost-effective meals, essentially. It was done in a format that students could be interested in and they could engage in, rather than just hosting a cooking lesson or a cooking class for students. And by doing this, we were able to help over 100 students with cookbooks. We engaged 4 full teams of people taking part in the event, and we also had nearly 100 people in attendance spectating at one point. So it was a really successful event. We'll hopefully do some more in the future, but it was really a showcase to the university to show that we really can do stuff around cooking, and we can do our cost of living support in a very different way. On a similar vein, sticking to the cost of living support, I've worked a lot this year on hardship funds and the International Hardship Fund. The hardship fund used to be a really arduous process. It used to be really invasive of your details, and it made students, and especially myself when I used it as a student, feel quite uncomfortable applying for the hardship fund. So this year, working with the team in the university, we've managed to make it a more inclusive process, a more straightforward process, which is less invasive for students, but also makes it easier for students to showcase why they're in need of the money. And it's not one particular characteristic that you need to hit. It's more of a holistic overview of finances. As well as this, we've introduced an International Specific Hardship Fund, which doesn't have the most money in the world to it, but it does have some, and it is a step in the right direction to enabling us to support international students with our campus ever growing in international student intake, especially around postgraduates. As well, I'll talk about this in a little bit, but the SU are launching their own hardship fund for the 24-25 academic year, and that's been a big part of my centenary project, to be able to help students break barriers in being able to participate in extracurricular activities, both in the university and the union. Another success is heating on campus, and that project basically talks to the fact that heating on campus is very inconsistent. In some areas it's extremely cold, in some areas it's extremely warm. So working with campus estates, we've developed a new service level agreement to ensure that heating is sufficient on campus in numerous buildings, and making sure that it's done in the right way. So in summer the rooms aren't really hot, and in winter they're not really cold. And now we're working on a communication plan to raise the students to showcase that, one, we have done this, but two, if this building isn't sufficiently heated or this room doesn't feel heated, there's an easy way to report that to the estates team, and they'll be able to kind of fix that problem or feedback why it isn't, and be able to really close the feedback loop back to students. Another small win is our union office hours, which are live soon. We're looking to have them live in for next year, where each of our student-facing departments will have office hours available for students to drop in those times. I know sometimes people find it quite difficult to come into the SU and disturb staff, and they feel as though it's not the most welcoming of places sometimes. So what we've done is, for next year, we're going to have office hours where students can drop in between those times and feel very comfortable to drop in and know that they won't be turned away or people will be too busy. But that doesn't mean that you won't be able to drop in at any point. So we're trying to make it easier for staff to have particular hours, and we're trying to make it easier for students to feel welcome in our office as well. The next one is the SU Centenary, which has probably been my biggest project this year. And that is to celebrate our 100 years of existing. We were founded in 1923-24, and we are celebrating our 100 years in a variety of different ways. We have a one-off event, which is an exclusive invite-only event for former officers, former staff, university senior staff, student leaders who are currently in their roles, and alumni. And we're holding an event to really showcase the past 100 years. We're also going to celebrate some staff. We're also going to look at how we can talk about our last 100 years and really make it known to, especially the current students, the stuff we have done. We've also got some installations in progress, so looking at the officer team over the last 100 years, and also looking at the history of events that have taken place in the SU over the last 100 years, and some of the more kind of big events that have happened. So when we managed to get the library 24/7 a couple of years ago, that would be an example. Alongside that though, as it doesn't feel morally right for me just to fund one big event, we are also launching hopefully the biggest fundraising campaign done in SU history, to raise money for the SU. And as we are a charity, we never raise money for ourselves. We always seem to raise it for other charities, which is great. But I think we really want to give back to students. And so by raising this money, we'll hopefully be able to develop a hardship fund, which will be about breaking barriers and enabling students to access extracurricular activities, whether it be in their course or whether it be in the SU or as a sports club, a society, etc. Moving on, I've been also heading the governance review with our chief exec, Liam Davies, and we have began our formal process now of the governance review. So what that's looking at is our board effectiveness, our trustee board. So as officers, we're all trustees, and we have external trustees and a student trustee. And we're looking at how effective our board is and how we can be more effective and what skills we're missing and what skills we have too many of. We're also looking at our memorandum and articles. For those who have read them, it is extremely long. It's very outdated. The language in it isn't gender neutral. It's not very inclusive. So we're looking to completely rewrite the articles and memorandum as per our new governance. We're also looking at our democratic structures, stuff like scrutiny committee, student council, the election process. And we're also looking at our officer structure. So currently we have 5 officers, and we're currently, you can nominate yourselves for our executive officer elections, and there'll be 5 officers again next year, with President, Education, Liberation, Sports and Societies Officer and Community and Wellbeing Officer. That's just an interim measure for next year. The governance review may determine we need 10 officers, we may need 3 officers, they may need different roles, and that's what the review is going to suggest to us and recommend to us, and we'll feed that back to students and we can vote on accordingly to make sure that we are being as representative to our student body as possible. Student employability, this is was quite a simple fix really, but we've managed to get a whole employability section on our website. Students can now access jobs on our website, whether that's at the SU and our vacancies, but also Unitemps or what the university has to offer, and other jobs such as LSP in the university wide really. So that's now up and running, so students who are needing to get a job, a part-time job, all of our vacancies and all the vacancies in the university are now on our website. And we also have a waiting list, so if anyone is waiting for a job or there's not an opportunity just yet but they want one, you can sign up to our waiting list and we'll be notified when a job is available. The college rep scheme was introduced this year, so I had a funding bid accepted by the university to introduce college reps to expand their academic representation programme, and this is to bridge the gap from the hundreds of course reps we have to the 45 school reps we have to then 4 college reps. 2 in the College of Social Sciences, Arts and Humanities, 1 in the College of Science and Engineering, and 1 in the College of Life Sciences. These will be very high level, so they'll sit on senior boards, they'll be paid 10 hours a week, they'll look in more depth at education and how they can support their college. They'll work a lot with Prachi, our education officer, and they're really just to bridge the gap between Prachi and everybody else. And that was accepted, and they've been up and running, and so far they've been fantastic. We've also done our de-stress event recently in the January exam period. We held, quite similar to previous years, we've held giving out free fruit, food and drink in the library during peak exam times. We've also did some kind of de-stress events in the week after exam period. We always felt that the week, doing the events the week during the exam period might be quite difficult for students, so moving it to the week after and really allowing you to de-stress. We did some events such as Murder Mystery and Paint and Sip, etc., and they were really, really well attended, so it was really successful. The last couple I have are quite small, so the trustee board, we had to recruit for a couple positions in the summer. We've had to do some enhancements. We're starting to become more effective as a board. We have our new chair in place alongside our new chief exec and obviously a new president, so it was quite, not a difficult time, but it was a different time, and there was change, and there was 3 new people as the chief exec, chair and deputy chair. So that's all gone really well, and we're looking forward to seeing what the governance review tells us about our board effectiveness. Tuition-free transparency, I've worked with the finance office in the university to make the tuition-free transparency more granular, so students really know where the money is going, that they spend £9,250 a year on if they're a home student, and really shows what your money goes to and the more holistic view of why it costs so much and where that money goes to. We're looking to have that released hopefully in February, so keep an eye out for that. And we will have a look at in the future the disparity between home fees, international fees, and where the kind of money goes in between there as well. And finally, there is very likely going to be a general election this year. If not, there definitely will by the beginning of next year. So we have been doing a voter ID campaign, so I've led on that campaign with support of Jade, our Liberation Officer, and also the Politics Society and Labour Society at the Union. We've incentivised this, we're giving out information on people for how to vote and why it's important to vote. We're also looking at giving out information on how they can get a free identification for voting in the election. We're also incentivising it, as we really want as many students as possible to sign up for to vote, basically. And not only will it allow you to have influence in the next general election, it'll also help your credit score out by signing up to stuff like this, and there's many more benefits to that as well. That has been my semester successes so far. I look forward to coming back in a couple of months' time and talking about semester 2. Thank you very much for listening, and see you soon.
Hi everyone, I'm Prachi, your education officer for this year. My pronouns are she, her, and today we are going to see my semester successes. So the very first success that I'd like to talk about is the drop-in sessions by Fees and Income team, which are going to be held every Thursday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. in the SU training room. And there are some exceptions where it will be held in some other rooms such as Liberation Space and the Multi-Use Space. And you can find the information about it on the flyers across the university, and you can also ask anyone in the SU about the exceptions or if you have any difficulty finding the rooms, and they'll be happy to guide you. And the availability of these sessions promises a really accessible and student-friendly environment, and we hope to see them being continued in the future as well. The next success is something that is personally close to me, which is a new student resource has been added on our Leicester Students' Union website under Support and Student Resources. It is a comprehensive handbook called UOL Unlocked, which is specifically intended for the international students to make their academic life easier here in Leicester, and just basic to-do things or the things that you must do when you first arrive in the UK. Another exciting news is our academic representation system is growing. We have a new addition, which are our college reps, and they have embarked on their role with great enthusiasm. And the very first initiative that they've taken is personal tutoring. I would also like to take this moment and thank the Registrar of our university and SU President Archie for their constant support, and the lovely voice team for training them. To foster open communication, Students' Union Education Committee has been set up, which is chaired by me and is attended by the college reps and academic rep coordinators from the voice team, where we all share the updates about what's going on in the college, what's going on in the university, and the necessary changes that are coming up that they should be aware of. Lastly, in the interest of effective communication, I've been actively participating in the university level meetings, making sure that the student voices are heard in the decisions that impact your academic experience.
Hi everyone, my name's Jack, pronouns he, him, and I'm your activities officer for this year. We're going through my semester successes for the first semester of the 23-24 academic year. So we'll go in chronological order. So we'll start over the summer where we looked into committee training. So we had a little bit of a revamp and relaunch of committee training, which had been planned for a few months beforehand, but it was fully launched at the start of July. And essentially the way it worked is that we've moved everything from a service called Opio, where you used to click through certain training, do a quiz, and you go back if you didn't get it right. We've moved it now to Sway, so it's a document that you can refer back to in the year, which has some videos on it, and it's also got an open book quiz. So it basically relies on a trust-based system of you to look through it, go back to it as and when you need, and then sort of answer the questions to make sure you actually had a look at it. There'll be some improvements for next year, but so far I think that was quite a good step in the right direction. Next, I wanted to talk about some funding that we looked for. We funded for an additional activities coordinator in the activities team, increasing the team from 3 to 4 staff members. This is to help on a variety of different things, including helping with capacity, helping in emergencies when staff are absent for a variety of reasons, and helping on a variety of things like community issues, so fundraising, volunteering, and sustainability. The next thing I wanted to talk about was volunteering. So we looked into relaunching the volunteering hub, and as of September it was relaunched, and thankfully it was relaunched alongside the accepting of a new proposal for a volunteering hub coordinator. So that's an additional staff member in the activities team, increasing it from 4 to 5. And they'll look solely at the volunteering hub to ensure that students can log their hours on this portal, and so they can find what opportunities there are for external people for them to find volunteering opportunities, which is a great way to learn some transferable skills, do something alongside your degree, and just have a fun time, really. So it's been a really great success, and I'm so happy that the proposal went through and was passed. Thanks to the university for funding it. Something that you may have heard of that has been in the planning since March and happens every single year is Welcome and Freshers. So we organise a number of different events, including the main Freshers Fair, where all student groups can come to promote their activities. We also have a commercial fair where they promote some sort of freebies and things like that, among other bits and pieces, which went really well. We had between 5,000 to 6,000 people. Numbers are hard to count because we have a one-way system and people don't like using the one-way system. And next year we know we're going to try and make it a little bit more accessible, maybe split the fares up a little bit. And just as a spoiler, we also were planning for refreshers, which did already happen in January, and we had such a vast improvement in terms of accessibility, so that was great. Another thing I want to talk about from September is the start of 3 councils. So those are Societies Council, which always exists, and that essentially helps to lead the direction of activities and the activities team in the Students' Union. So that's how societies work. Something that did used to exist for a while is Green Bubble, so that's a Student Sustainability Forum that's open to everyone. I chair it, but this year we had a new Green Bubble leadership team, which is meant to sort of essentially turn this feedback into specific projects that actually happen, which you'll see in the next Semester Successes video. And the third thing is Creative Council, so that's a brand new thing which is about looking into arts at University of Leicester and sort of feeding back how things can be better in terms of performance spaces, community, and things like that. So I recruited the leaders for all of those within September and October, and we've got a really, really great amount of people who have fed back, and the influence that they have had is amazing. It's not necessarily easy to see from the get-go, but in terms of how I can inform the university, their influence has been monumental. The next thing is that we developed and signed off our local environmental action plan for the Students' Union. So essentially, the university has a scheme where every department has an environmental coordinator, and they develop a local environmental action plan to make sure that their department is doing things in a climate-sensitive way. The Student Union is separate from the university, but we still thought it'd be good to jump in on that scheme, so that was signed off in October, and essentially we're working with each of the departments to ensure that we're as sustainable as we can be. More public information will come on that later on. Next, I wanted to talk about November, and in November that comes Movember, which is a fundraising scheme which helps to raise money for men's health. And it's something we've also been planning for a long time, with a lot of different uni and union departments involved helping with the event. I think it went really well. We raised £10,401, which is more than last year, and a big shout out to Men's Rugby Union, who raised £2,500, so a massive contribution to the scheme. I think next year it'll be a little bit different, but I won't be there, so we'll see how things go. And another thing I wanted to talk about was the launch of a food bank scheme. So I wasn't as involved in this, but I fed into the conversations. Essentially, around campus there are food bank deposit boxes where you can deposit sort of food items that you don't need anymore or don't want to be given to local food banks to help those around the city. So I'm really glad to have been a part of that. Look for local deposit boxes around. We have one in the Prachi building. It's a really exciting scheme. So the final thing I wanted to talk about is a very important thing, and that is developing the student group pathway, which essentially means making sure that the pathway for a student group from either their creation or from handover and affiliation over the summer to development throughout the year to handing over to the next year's committee is as smooth as possible. We've made a number of different steps in that direction. It's been really positive. So we've looked into the new student group process, we've changed the forms a little bit, and we've made it so that the timeline and deadlines are a lot clearer on our website, which is really good. Another thing is the grant funding form. That's changed up a little bit to be more accessible. And we've also increased the amount of grant funding that we had from 22,000 to 44,000, which is amazing, and that's thanks to our trustee board for helping to fund this. Another thing I wanted to talk about is sort of general improvements to the activities team we're working on but I've helped to feed into. So that's like the implementation of development meetings. Now that we have a new staff team, we're able to sort of jump into development meetings, and students are able to, student groups are able to get support that they need, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that throughout the year, no matter when. And we're looking into other few things that we've started planning for. So that's like a student group offboarding conference. That's for outgoing committee members to learn how to effectively hand over and to sort of reflect on the skills that you've learned. So that'll probably be in March, but we've been planning that, as well as a variety of things like a training revamp, affiliation documents exploration, and a number of other really, really fun projects that I can't wait to see how they go. So that was the main thing I wanted to talk about, just to let you know it's ongoing. It's small things here and there that will have a big impact overall. So thank you for watching. Just wanted to say none of this could be done without the amazing support of our SU staff. So that includes our activities team, marketing team, voice team, every other team, support team, business development, HR, whatnot, finance. They've been a great help. And I think you don't really see them as much. You see our faces, but the work that they've done has managed to make everything a skyrocket. And I'm so happy to be able to work with them.
Greetings. It is I, Joe, the sports officer, and I'm here today to talk to you about my semester successes. So at the start of last semester, myself, working collaboratively with Sport and Active Life, hosted the sports fair at OB Sports Facilities at the Roger Bettles Sports Centre, allowing the Team Leicester clubs and also sporting societies to get involved in showing their clubs off and student groups to the freshers coming in at that fair. So myself and the other officers, mainly Jack, were doing the Movember campaign for the University of Leicester. We had a really good campaign going on. We raised over £10,000. I think it came to about 10,300 at the end. But it was really good. Got a lot of staff involved here and a lot of the students. And had a really good closing ceremony where we get a load of the students to come and get prizes. Along with Movember, we also had the Sports Council Movember tournament, where we had a bit of rounders and a bit of netball going on, which was heavily involved by students and got a lot of donations towards the Movember campaign. Went really well. Also during last semester, I met with all the committees. One of the big things that we always have is the sporting committees don't know exactly who to go to when they have issues, so I decided to meet with them in the summer and get to know them early on so that if they had any issues they could come to me. Additionally to that, I selected my sports council and had a group of 10 students with their own specific roles represent the student voice here at the university within sport. Going on, the Sports Council have had really good collaboration with the sports department and also sit on some of the high boards that pass some of the rules and regulations for sport here at the university. In the past, it's been noted that the Team Leicester kind of clubs are somewhat a bit more elitist than some of the societies. So this year, to kind of set that back, we introduced the kind of Team Leicester Tier 4, or like a development tier. This is basically a tier where clubs and societies that aren't affiliated with Team Leicester currently can go into this tier and basically get different opportunities, more development, extra funding, kind of grant funding from us. And it's a really good, ideal way for clubs to get their foot in the door to look at becoming a high-performance Team Leicester sport early days. Along with the Movember campaign, I also did a few other kind of fundraising campaigns. So I did the White Ribbon campaign, which a few students at the university and the sports clubs were really hard on doing. And I think it was a brilliant campaign. It went really well. And also I ran the Poppy Appeal, so going around getting donations for the Royal British Legion, doing the poppies. So last year, something that Archie had as the sports officer that I wished to carry on was the Sports Person of the Month. Basically, this highlights students that have had really good contribution to their sporting club or really good performance, and we wanted to just put them on a pedestal for each month. So every time that student will get a frame certificate, they'll also get a social media shout out. And it's really nice to see that we've already had a few students be the Sports Person of the Month already, and really enjoyed working with the clubs and contributing amazingly. So something that's just come out recently is Jack and Joe Give It a Go. However, we started filming this last semester. It's been long in the making, something that we're really looking forward to. So this one is the Let's Do Leicester programme. So myself and Jack Melia from Sport and Active Life are working alongside to show off what the Let's Do Leicester programme is and us getting involved with it. This semester we're hoping to get involved with the Team Leicester clubs and maybe in the future look at getting involved with the staff behind the sport at the university. So some of my last successes of the semester just gone. The cookery kit, which you can see me donning now, that's finally up on the stock shop. It's all live. Go and get it some if you want it. You can personalise it, put your name on it, put your club on it, whatever you want to do. And finally we're getting there where all of the clubs have got their playing kit, and they should be, hopefully, on every Bucks Wednesday and in varsity wearing the new cookery playing kit. Additionally to this, I've been doing the biggest kind of thing that I set on my manifesto, which was Project Physio. That's took up real good speed. So far we've got 11 qualified pitch-side first aiders. We're just sorting out some insurance stuff, and then they're ready to be working with our sports clubs momentarily, which is brilliant to see. And then finally, by far, one of the biggest things that have come in this year, if not any year, is the new flexible gym memberships. So something that we've been kind of pushing for a while. Myself and Jade have managed to get, working collaboratively with Sport and Active Life, to get these new monthly gym memberships in. So far, we've had a lot of uptake from it, which is great to see. It shows that students really wanted it, and something that was really pushed for is working off. But no, great to see.
Hello everyone, my name is Jade Thomas, my pronouns are she, her, and I am your Liberation Officer. Arguably one of my biggest successes of last semester was connecting with so many of you at different points throughout the term. So Freshers allowed me to go and meet loads of our School of Healthcare students in our KCSB and hand out some freebies that we had from Freshers that you might not have been able to get if you weren't based on main campus. I also spoke to many of you at your society events, and I also went along and just spoke to you in the square, had conversations and really connected with you, and that was something that I really wanted to focus on coming into my role, and it's something that I hope to continue moving on for the rest of this academic year. Another success of this semester was celebrating Black History Month and running all of those wonderful events for you all. So some of the events that we had included the Black History Month launch event on the 2nd of October. We also had some wellbeing and self-care events in the halls of residence. We also hosted some movie nights in the halls of residence. We had a Black History Month brunch, which was catered for by a locally Black-owned business. And we had a performance by an artist called Scratchless, who's a reggae artist who performs songs that have conscious messages about empowerment and standing up against systematic oppression. Last semester also saw the launch of the Black Student Experience project in collaboration with the university. As part of this, I ran 2 listening events in November. In total, we had around 30 students attend. All of those students identified as coming from a Black ethnic background. And we collected feedback on a host of different things that relate to the university experience. And that feedback is now being worked on by the university and myself. As part of the Black Student Experience as well, and feedback from Black students last semester, the university, with the help of myself, Jay, and Sports and Active Life, have introduced flexible gym memberships. So this means that you can now pay £20 a month for a gym membership rather than paying for one at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the semester, and it makes those payments just a little bit more affordable. I also hosted the launch event for the Black Leadership Programme, which is a programme put on by our careers team, in which 50 final year Black students signed up to the programme, and they got internships that they worked on last semester. So I kind of hosted the panel event for that. I also hosted a blood donor drive in our Students' Union Square back in November. This was part of the Black History Month celebrations or awareness events. That's because sickle cell disease is something that predominantly affects Black communities, and so the purpose of the blood drive was to encourage as many Black students and Black staff members within our community to sign up to be blood donors, and I would say it was a success. Over 80% of the people who signed up on the day identified as coming from a Black ethnic background. Another success is that last semester I put forward a proposal to our Students' Council to change the name from the BAME part-time officer to the Ethnic Equity Officer. The reason this name change was important is because research and studies show that people belonging to ethnic minorities or racialized communities don't appreciate being subjected or reduced down to an acronym. Also, given our student demographic here, it's important that we focus on equity for all ethnicities and not just focus on what each letter stands for. Also, if we're being honest, when you think of BAME, people usually only assume the B and then think Black. I'm now rambling. But also, another reason why the acronym is problematic is because it hides statistics about each of the individual ethnicities. Where we need to be focusing on particular groups, it's very easy to just cover things with the shadow of the BAME acronym. Another success is that we now have more prayer spaces on campus. So last academic year, prayer spaces were only available in the Charles Wilson building. We now have prayer spaces available in Freeman's, in the reception area, just behind the desks, and we also have prayer spaces in Brookfield as well. If you don't know where the Freeman's prayer spaces are, I filmed a video about it last semester, so be sure to check out Leicester Union's social media to find out more. November was Islamophobia Awareness Month, and so another success of last semester was raising awareness about the month, raising awareness about Islamophobia and how it affects communities, particularly within the UK. So we had Islamophobia Awareness Month exhibition for 3 days up in our Students' Union Square, and we had a host of other events as well about raising awareness. The best part of the month for me was actually an event that I put on in collaboration with students, and that was an event to show the beauty of Islam. So then we had a henna artist, we had somebody come to perform nasheeds, we had a stall on Islamic literature, and it was really just a lovely event to tie the month off together. November 20th was Trans Day of Remembrance, and to commemorate this day I hosted a vigil in our Students' Union building. It was a candlelit vigil with a few students and staff members attending, and there the Students' Union, myself and another staff member gave a speech and read out the names of some of the people within our society and within our world who have been affected. Another thing I've been working on really hard last semester was using my voice as an officer to encourage and influence conversations at a national level. So myself and Archie, the president, fed into conversations with the NUS about their reform. For those of you who don't know, NUS stands for National Union of Students, and they basically are there to represent and support all students within the UK, those who have universities that are members of that union. So we've been feeding into those discussions about how we want the NUS to look moving forward as they're currently undergoing a reform, and what we think will benefit not only our students here, but students on that national level. Another conversation with the NUS that I've been feeding into is moving from the term politically black to an alternative term, kind of similar to what happened here with me wanting to move away from the BAME acronym to ethnic equity. The NUS uses the term politically black to describe all students and all those who do not belong, all students and all those who are classed as ethnic minorities or who are not white British. So yeah, just feeding into those conversations again, saying what's worked here for us, what studies we've done to show that, and trying to influence change not only here but further afield.